releasing videos on Wednesday of our Q&A sessions that we have here in studio before we go live. And we've got another great Q&A session for you today. Some great, mind-blowing questions have been asked, and I think you're going to be blown away by the answers. So enjoy. Carrie, talk to me, brother. Yeah, if you can just come grab it, that'd be great.
Good morning, Brother Gold.
Good morning, Brother Carrie.
Yes, sir. My question is, I'll ask the question because I know you do prefer that style, and then I'll say a statement to give background. In the beginning of this year or the end of last year, you said that 2026 is probably the last year to gain wealth.
It'll be your best chance in the upcoming years, I believe, yes.
Yes. So my question is, do you believe that as a society that we are maybe at the pinnacle of everything that we know to have, in a sense, like luxury?
Which Paul wrote to the church at Ephesus. And before I even get into reading the text, I want you to understand something about this society known as Ephesus. The ancient city of Ephesus is in the country of Turkey, in Asia Minor. And I've been there, and at one point, fascinatingly enough, fascinating to me, maybe not fascinating to you, I guess I'll find out in a minute, but fascinatingly enough, the ruins of the city were covered in silt. Like, you couldn't, like, it just looked like flat ground. And archaeologists discovered it, and they literally took over a decade to dig it out. The library, the entrance to the library, in the I'm going to show you the beginning of everything today. I want to talk to you about this subject. I'm done. I made a decision. And when I made that decision, I had enough discipline to stick to it. I'm not going to look at any of the hard ways to make a little bit of money. And you know what happens when you do that? On this video, I'm going to discuss 7 mindset shifts that have made me millions and millions of dollars. There's no doubt in my mind that if you adapt and adopt these mindset shifts, that they will change your life for the better. I heard someone say a long time ago, if you want to model any form of human excellence, if somebody's doing something and you'd like to do it, you find somebody who's doing the thing you want to do, and you model 3 things. 1, you model their belief systems. 2, you model their mental syntax, the order in which they fire off messages in their brain. And number 3, you model their physiology. And so this is going to be about belief systems that if you adapt and adopt them, they will make you millions. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not making millions of dollars, some of these are going to rub you the wrong way. Because if these things already made sense to you, you'd already be doing them, right? I mean, doesn't stand a reason don't expect to learn something from someone that you agree with 100% of the time. Of course, if they're not challenged, if what they're saying is not challenging you, how could you possibly hope for it to change you? So, here are the 7 mindset shifts. The first one is the biggest mind-blown transformation that that changed my life for the rest of my life. And I'm going to say it, and you're going to say, oh no, not that again. Okay. But here's the problem. Like, if that's what you're thinking, here's the problem. You know about it, and you think knowing about it is knowing it. Right? So you like the words I'm going to say, you've already heard them, you already know them. They're not new words, they're just new actions. They're words that you heard and recited, but you haven't yet done anything about. So, here it is. First, game changer, multi-million, billion, whatever dollar mindset is be, do, have. You're like, oh yeah, I got that already. Be, do, have. Yeah, okay. Sure you do. But I'm going to go over here on my trusty blackboard. When I discovered this in Genesis chapter 1, it knocked my socks off for months. I was just like, and when I think about it now, it still knocks my socks off. Because in Genesis chapter 1, God set up the whole thing. I'm getting chills thinking about this right now. God set up the whole thing. And the first thing God tells us about God is that he is creative. He doesn't tell us first that he's love. He doesn't tell us first that he's righteous or just or omnipotent or omniscient. Even though he's all those things, the first thing God tells us about God is that he's creative. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And when God created the heavens and the earth in the beginning, he established the platform on which we operate, and that platform is in the beginning. That's time. I don't like that color. I don't even know what color it is, but I know I don't like it for that. So in the beginning, before the beginning, there was no time. In the beginning, God created the heavens, that's space, and the earth, that's matter. Now it's really interesting that I need to do some thinking about this, but it's really interesting that time, space, and matter are a continuum, and they all have to come into being at the same time. The only explanation for that is Genesis 1:1. Rashid bara Elohim et Hashemayim ba'et. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's the only. So they all came into being at the same time. Because if there's time but no space, where would you put it? What would you do with that time? If there's space but no time, when would you put it? If there's matter but if there's matter but no space, where would you put it? And so they all came into being at the same time. Now, what's fascinating about this is this platform is the platform that God set up from the beginning. These are our constraints as human beings. Time, space, and matter are our constraints. Anything you're going to do is going to take time, right? Anything you're going to become is going to take time. Like time is a constraint. Space. If you don't have enough time, you're not going to get it done. If you don't have enough space, you're not going to get it done. Like, we can't build the Empire State Building inside this building because there's not enough space, right? And what's really, really mind-blowing about this again is that the first thing that God tells us about himself is that he's creative. The first thing God tells us about us is that he made us in his image. He made us in his image, which means this is the first thing he tells us about us. He made us to make stuff, and he created us to create stuff. Which is why, if you're not making something, if you're not creating something, if you are not living in your creative space to make the world a better place, you feel unfulfilled. You feel like I'm wasting my life, I'm just existing, because you're not creating anything, right? And so the first thing God tells about us is that he made us in his image. And then the first thing God said to man, go read Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 and 28, and it says, and God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion. So he said, be fruitful. Now, the word fruitful, Genesis 1 tells us what a fruit is. A fruit is a living organism whose seed is in itself. So when God said be fruitful, he's telling us to produce on the outside based on what he put on the inside of us. What did he put on the inside of us? I believe that God planted the seed of an aspect of his creativity inside of all of us. Now, he didn't plant the same aspect inside of any of us. He planted a different aspect of the seed of his creativity inside of each of us, so that you can create something based on the creativity that God put in you that helps me, and I can create something based on the creativity God put inside of me to help you. It's so beautiful. So I need you. So now, not only is it a good idea for me to treat you good because you're made in the image of God, but it's a good idea for me to treat you good or for me to treat you well because it's in my own best interest. Because you're going to have something I need. So it just makes sense for me to treat you well and you to treat me well because I got something you need and you got something I need. So it just makes sense. Why would we go through life burning the bridges of the people who have the stuff that we need that we don't have and we can't get without them? So he said, be fruitful. Produce on the outside based on what I put on the inside of you. And then he said, multiply. Well, the implied verb of multiply is a do. Multiply means to increase, by the way. So he said, be fruitful and increase. So multiply. And by the way, the increase of multiplication is not geometric. It's not linear. It's exponential. It's a geometric progression. What did Warren Wiersbe say? Any fool can count the number of seeds in an apple, but only God can count the number of apples in a seed. If you plant a seed, it doesn't grow an apple. If you plant an apple seed, it grows a tree. And the tree produces apples. And all those apples have multiple seeds, and everything is multiplying. Are y'all tracking? Okay. So be fruitful, do multiply. Multiply is what we do. Increase. Replenish the earth. Replenish is what we do. Replenish means to fill up the earth. So I'm supposed to use my creativity to make stuff, to be fruitful, and do things that make things that fill up the earth. Okay. And then he said, and subdue it. Why did he say subdue it? Because there's a principle that's woven into the fabric of physics. We call it entropy, right? What is entropy? Anything left to itself tends to move more and more towards disorder, right? The first law of thermodynamics is what? Everything is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form, right? So you take the apple and you eat the apple and you plant the seed, and the seed becomes a tree, and the tree becomes more apples, and the apples produce more, and nothing goes away. It just turns into something different. But the second law is the law of entropy. Anything left to itself tends to move more and more towards disorder. So in order for me to do, it requires intention and it requires energy. Are y'all tracking? I thought I was going to do 7. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, so be fruitful, do multiply, do subdue. Well, because of the law of entropy, it's woven into the fabric of the universe that, and when I say it's woven into the fabric of the universe, God wove it into the fabric of the universe, because the universe is not God and God is not the universe. It's God woven into the fabric of the universe that disruption always follows intention. So when you decide to do something good that you haven't been doing, the first thing that shows up is not something fun. The first thing that shows up is not a big payoff. The first thing that shows up is difficulty. Isn't it fascinating that you have to plant food, but you don't have to plant weeds? They just grow. I've never met a farmer who planted a weed, but they all have them. Never met a gardener who planted a weed, right? It's so mind blowing. Like if you're building a new house and you want to have a yard, you got to go buy some sod, right? You go buy some sod and it's got like St. Augustine grass, or it's got whatever kind of grass you have in your area, and you plant that, you put down that sod, and then you water it, and then you take care of it, and next thing you know, now you got a yard. Next thing you know, dollar weeds start popping up. Where'd they come from? Disruption always follows intention. It's so fascinating that part of our energy we use to produce, and another part of our energy we use to keep the entropy from seducing what we've produced. Like, what in the world is happening here? Okay, so do, and then God says have dominion. Have dominion. Now, here's the formula. Be, do, have. But this part of the formula, be, was created for the platform of time. So this is the platform, and these are the parameters. And the parameters are be, do, have. This parameter was made for this part of the platform. Anything you're going to become that you are not right now takes time. And see, so many people lasted for decades. And for somebody to come into my space face and believe that they deserve being chosen this high just because they're here and they're bringing the work that they do is valid. That's not my point. Is not the work they do is not valid. It's very valid. But someone who's been here for 5 years, they think, well, I deserve more money because look how much money you're making. But I'm not making as much money as you showed up. I'm making as much money before you showed up. And so, let's don't. Anything here to become is going to take time. And see, people want to rush a washing machine. People come in to see something. Even though it's a client, I've got a client. They're going to see, oh, I'm just going to go do what I did. Really? Really? You're going to spend decades learning and decades trial and error. And in the beginning, more error than trial. And you're going to blast through that learning curve to the point where something finally clicks that you can put on a tree. See, and most people, when they don't get the result, they say, when I started in sales, I didn't make my first sale for a year and a half or 18 months. But I kept doing it. Why? Because I didn't have any place else to go. I didn't have alternatives. Sometimes our biggest problem is we have too many choices.
Can we get a before on here?
Right? There's so much opportunity for today. You can do some trade out and say, to the couch at home and never make anything more. Why? Because you think the problem is the opportunity. But the problem is not the opportunity, the problem is the opportunist. So we do
Can we
have.
put it on?
I love this. Somebody said we don't want to brother, don't get distracted by the money and start to forget about Jesus. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. As if it's separate, it's somehow separate. What are we talking about? Don't forget about Jesus. Jesus is the reason I'm here. I'm not confused. But I'm going to step on the brakes on my productivity. What are you talking about, bro? You pretended to be focused on Jesus, but you're working 13 hours a day to show up and take care of your family. And you're acting like because I'm making more money, somehow that means I'm more focused on money. I'll tell you right now, I'm way more focused on money. I'm more focused on time. Well, that's it. This is 1 week. One of the biggest differences between how we run is poor people value money more than they value time. And rich people value money more than value time. Poor people value money more than they value time. That's rather cheap. Now, they're not cheap, they're cheap. I'm saying they'll go to a restaurant, go to a restaurant on Sunday. That's called an anti-witness. So we have to understand that my desire, your desire to have something